Okay, so we're here with our fifth period, getting ready to multiply matrices. All right, so today it's going to be one of those days where the lecture is going to be a little bit longer than normal because it's a new thing, a little bit confusing, requires your 100% focus. All right, but there's only one micro lecture, and then you're going to get 25 minutes to try these problems. Okay, so let's talk about how we're going to do this with an example. What I want you to do right now is flip over your paper to the back. All right? Many of you write small, so keep writing small. Some of you don't. Today's the day to write small. Okay, a lot of writing is going to happen. So the first thing it says is W times X. All right, W times X. I'm going to write down matrix W. You should be writing this on the back. Times matrix X. Okay. Now yesterday, when we added and subtracted, what had to be true about our dimensions? The exact same rows and columns. Okay? You're going to see today's a little different. What are the dimensions of matrix W? 3 by 2. 3 by 2. 3 rows, 2 columns. Okay? What about the dimensions for matrix X? 2 by 3. Now, at this point in the process of the problem, I want you to underline 2 numbers for me. Okay? I want you to underline the columns of the first matrix. Right? So you see I underline the columns of the first matrix. And the rows of the second matrix. Now, what do you notice about those numbers that I underline? They're the same. If they're the same, then this is possible. You can do this. Okay, that's your first check. All right? If those numbers are not exactly the same, then what are you going to write? Not possible. Now, a couple of ways that I see students mess this up is on this one, it's WX, which you see in the problem. It's written in order, W then X. But what if I had said Y times X? I get a lot of students trying to do this process with this up here, but they're not in the right order up there. So always write them down in the order it's asking before you do this. Okay? If you're still confused, you'll see. You'll make that mistake sometime later. Okay, so it's possible. Now, do you see the rows of the first matrix and the columns of the second? Circle those 2 numbers on the outside. Now, those numbers are the same. They do not need to be the same. It's a coincidence that they're the same. They don't have to be the same. Which ones have to be the same?
Rows of the first one?
No, columns from the first one and the rows from the second. If you get a little confused, just say the inside numbers. Okay, the inside numbers have to be the same. Okay, the outside don't have to be the same. The reason I wanted you to circle them is because that means our answer is going to be a 3 by 3 matrix. And make placeholders. All right, so you notice we have 9 numbers that we need in order to finish this problem. Okay, we're almost ready to start multiplying. Almost there. Now, what I need you to remember from today is in order to multiply matrices, you're going to multiply the rows of the first matrix times the columns of the second matrix. All right, say it with me. The rows of the first matrix times the columns of the second matrix. I'm not sure anyone was actually speaking there. The rows of the first matrix times the columns of the second matrix. Excellent. Here's how you can do a little kind of cheat to help you remember that. Put an arrow going this way on the first matrix, telling you to use the rows, and then an arrow going this way on the second one, telling you to multiply by the columns. All right, now that we've done all that prep, we're ready to actually try it. Adrian, you still ready?
Sure.
Excellent. Okay, so you should right now, you're still on the back of your paper, make a fairly large work matrix. All right, where this is still going to be a 3 by 3 matrix. Still going to be a 3 by 3 matrix, but I want it to be much larger so you can write down all the work. All right. Okay. So let's go to the first row in our first matrix. Everyone see 3 and negative 2. That row is going to multiply by this column. All right. So you're going to do 3 times 4 plus, now follow your arrows, right? I just did 3 times 4. If I follow my arrows, I'm going to move to which number? Negative 2. Follow my arrows, I'm going to move to 5. So plus negative 2 times 5. That is one number in our answer matrix. We got 8 more to go! I know, Diego, it's exciting. Whew. All right, let's keep going. Now look where I'm moving in my answer matrix. I'm moving to the next column, but I'm staying in what? The same row. So I'm still going to use this same row in the first one, but I'm moving to the second column of the second matrix. So I'm going to multiply 3 times 7 plus, follow your arrows, negative 2 times 1. Green, question? So I just multiplied this row by the middle column here and wrote it there. Follow your arrows, right? Always, you can use your fingers, follow your arrows. It's the first time you're doing this, okay? It's all good. Let's finish this row. Same row, the third column. So 3 times negative 2 plus negative 2 times negative 1. I'm going to pause here. Let me know if you have questions. Who has questions? No questions? Okay, let's just take a few moments to write down the answers then. So this is going to be 12, and this is going to be negative 10. What's 12 plus negative 10? A 2. That's going to be one number in my answer matrix. Okay? Let me finish these, Jennifer, and then we'll get your question. That's 21, and that's negative 2. What's 21 plus negative 2? 19. And finally, negative 6 plus positive 2 is negative 4. We've just finished our first row. Jennifer.
Generally, multiply let's say 3 times 4, then followed by negative 2, then followed by the number at the bottom.
Correct, because remember what we said out loud 3 times? It's always the rows of the first matrix times the columns of the second matrix, every time. Always going to be like that. Follow your arrows. Let's do the next row. Let's see if your brain sees it, okay? So we're going to the next row, 1, 0, the second row. So I'm going to fill in the entire second row of my answer matrix. All right, so it's going to be 1 times 4. Now, I get a lot of students that mess this up. What do you think a lot of students do in my class? They try to multiply, by the 7. All right, they think they're moving to the second one over here as well. You're in the first column. If you're ever like, I don't know what I'm doing, ask yourself, where am I? What am I trying to fill in here? This is the second row and the first column. Second row times the first column. So 1 times 4 plus, if you follow your arrows, 0 times 5. Very good. Let's keep going to the next column. Sticking with the same row of my first matrix in matrix W times the second column of 7 and 1. So 1 times 7 plus 0 times 1. You starting to see the pattern? Excellent. Finally, this last column here, 1 times negative 2 plus 0 times negative 1. Okay, so pause there, see if you can start to see what we're doing here. That was the next row. The second row is complete. Let's get the numbers in the answer. That first one is going to be 1 times 4 plus 0, so that's 4. The next one's going to be 7. And the last one's going to be negative 2. One more to go. One more. All right, for the first problem. We've got many more to do. All right, we're in the third row now. And we're going back to the first column in the answer matrix. So I'm going back to the first column of my second matrix, matrix X. Okay? So I'm going to use 2 and negative 1 for this entire row. All right, so 2 times 4 plus, follow your arrows, negative 1 times 5. The middle column, as we move over in the next matrix, so 2 times 7 plus negative 1 times positive 1. And finally, the last one, this is the last row and last column of each, 2 times negative 2 plus negative 1 times negative 1. All right, let's get our answers in the answer matrix here. This one's going to be 8 plus negative 5. 8 plus negative 5 is a positive 3. Why are you over there, negative 1? What you doing? What you doing over there? Stay where you're supposed to be. Okay, this one is going to be 14 and a negative 1. And finally, negative 4 and positive 1. And you did it. You did it. Yes, one problem. That was exciting. It was so much fun. Not as long as I thought. That's good. All right, any questions on multiplying these matrices together? Any questions? No questions? Okay, so what I'm going to do is